I feel like I was on a roll there.
I feel like you're on a roll as well, but we'll start from the beginning.
Just recording.
This is
recording.
My phone just gets thrown in the middle of rooms and I press record. It's like a grenade.
Nice.
So this is the first person that we're interviewing. Actually, we'll start. So this is the first person that we're interviewing, isn't it, Lewis? This is
Yes,
the first
the original debut podcast.
And we've got Joseph Biggs here, who, despite his emo naff hair, no one in the wrestling industry seems to have anything negative to say about, which is quite odd because people do tend to be quite critical of others, especially if there's
when you're young in your career.
if you're young and there's other people of the same age thinking that they should be doing what you're doing, but you tend to avoid that. How do you think you've managed to avoid the criticism and only have people sing your praises?
I'm not even sure how, because I'm a bit of a dick in person. Anyone who knows me outside of wrestling can probably tell you that. I really don't know, like, I'm a raging alcoholic and I look like shit half the time. So I don't know how people don't hate me. Even when I'm heel, people like still want to cheer me for some reason. I mean, I've had the occasional like Facebook or YouTube comment saying, "Oh, you're shit." But
Can't be on the internet and not have them.
well, yeah,
How old are you?
20.
20. And when did you start your training?
It was actually January 12th, 2013, and I remember the day somehow. Me and a friend discovered a local wrestling school, Rad Pro.
Georgie Leggett does that one.
He was running it at the time, yeah, but it's all changed now. It was 4 years ago, so like...
Things change.
Oh yeah, the scene's totally different now to what it was. But my friends discovered like a load of wrestling schools. He did some Googling because we'd been into it for a while and it was something we wanted to check out and see if it was any good, see if it was like as good as we thought it would be. And he discovered Rad Pro, so we went along to a few training sessions. He ended up quitting pretty quickly and I just stuck at it somehow. Not sure why, wrestling hurts.
Do you still remember your first session?
Oh yeah, I remember it quite well actually.
As someone who's never been to a wrestling training session, what is session one?
It really kind of depends on where you go.
What was yours?
I got taken through a quick stretch off. I learnt my bumps on a crash mat because back when I started it was all on crash mats. Like you get a lot of places to train in ring now, but I got taken through my back bumps and a load of basic moves. And then because I was wearing a CM Punk shirt and doing John Cena impressions, they started to beat me up with forearms and chops, and we spent the last hour of the session just doing strikes and all that.
How long is a session, or how long was the session?
The session there was 4 hours, and I was in so much pain afterwards that I actually didn't want to come back. In like the week between that session and the second one, I was just looking for excuses because I kind of thought to myself, like, if it's going to hurt this much every single week and if I'm going to be in this amount of pain after like every session, then I'm not really sure this is for me. But I remember the second week wasn't training, we had a show that week instead, so we put the ring up and we all got to have like a turn running the ropes and taking bumps in the ring just to get used to it. And I remember quite well, I managed to hit a perfect springboard arm drag on my second ever session, and I was getting so much praise for it that I decided, oh well, maybe it's something that I should keep trying. And
That just seems like a silly thing to even try.
it seemed like a good idea at the time. Like I was thinking, oh,
Was it suggested you just go for it?
it was suggested, and I thought like, oh, this isn't gonna work.
Someone's trying to have him killed. Someone's trying to get Biggs to commit suicide just by random springboard.
It totally backfired. I'm still here.
16-year-old Biggs just springboarding in the ring straight away.
I was blonde and fat at the time. Hated it.
I was in an MEW show and I was interviewed someone beforehand. Adam Christ was in the ring. He was just doing random stuff that Adam Christ does. And then at one point he decided he was going to do like he's going to try to do a flip, just a standing flip and land on his feet. It took until the fourth attempt of landing on his head where he decided he couldn't do it. And that's just what happens in wrestling, and I love it.
Keep
What was
trying.
your first training session like, Lewis? You pulled a bit of a face there when Biggs was describing his. What was yours like?
Well, Like, I train with Biggs now with NGW with Rampage Brown and Jamie Ahmed. And
Screwface.
yeah, Screwface. And pretty much it's just all cardio, isn't it? It's
There's a lot of it, but
very tiring.
I'd say it's been pretty beneficial. My cardio wasn't great beforehand, and now I can actually get through a match without dying. It
Like,
helps.
the first session was snapmares, arm drags, and headlocks. Pretty much was all I did first session, but it was solid, and I've remembered since. So
How long are those sessions?
it's about
2.5, 3 hours usually.
7:30 start, and only have the ring up by 8.
Yeah, it's in ring now. Like it moved to a new place back in, I think it was end of November, start of December or something.
Yeah, I've missed most of the sessions since we moved because I wouldn't know where to get there.
It's a bit out the way, but it's totally worth it to anyone looking. There's about 5 or 6 schools in the northeast now, so no matter where you live, really, there's always like an option.
I really rate the school there. I don't think I would want to try anywhere else. It's
Yeah, like
really
it.
short term.
Some people say you should train with like a load of different places, and I've tried that, and it worked to an extent. I feel like it's what helped me like start getting booked around places by like going along and training with them a bit. But then there's some who say to like pick one and stay loyal to that. It just comes down to like who you ask, I guess.
Have you got any like training nightmare stories of, without saying who this training school was, if you don't want to embarrass anyone, but where you were asked to do something you shouldn't, or you did something that went a bit wrong without getting massively hurt? You're smiling, so you think of something.
There's one that comes to mind straight away. It was kind of my own stupid fault.
Right.
I went to do a session with Full Tilt Wrestling one time, and that's all in ring there. So I remember we were setting up the ring, and the frame was all up, and we were putting like the wooden boards on. But before you put the big thick boards on, there's like a few thin plywood ones on. So I put them on, and I decided to get on the frame and like walk out into the middle to like go move some around. But me being the careless twat that I am, didn't step on one of the bars. I stepped on one of the bits of plywood, fell right through the fucking ring, and split my entire leg open. Like, it wasn't like wide open, but I had like a massive scar going like right up my
Just a
thigh.
deep graze.
Yeah, like it's one of those moments where everyone laughs, and then they think, "Oh shit, is he all right?" And then they see that I am all right, and then they laugh again.
And you've damaged the plywood, so you've...
I damaged the plywood as well, so I damaged myself and everything I touch.
I thought you were just going to tell a story about like walking across the bars and just like landing on your nuts or something, but that sounds even worse.
I think I'd have rather landed on my nuts, to be honest. At least that wouldn't really leave a scar or anything.
So you've still got a scar.
Oh no, it's gone now, but it
How long
never.
did it take to heal?
A few months actually.
Was that early in your training?
Oh no, like I'd been on shows like about a year and a bit at this point, but it was in like the stretch of time where I was like trying to get myself out in different companies, so I was like going and training at other schools and that. But I managed to hide the scar for a while because it was back when I was wearing tights and I'd like got my first proper set of gear, so luckily I don't think anyone ever saw that in a match. But anyone who was at that session will remember exactly what I'm talking about.
When you take the tights off, does that not just open up the wound?
No, it healed pretty quick. I sat out as like the rest of the ring went up, and the bleeding stopped pretty quick, but it was just kind of there.
That sounds really, really bad. It's another reason why I just don't intend to ever...
It's not even the
I've ran the ropes once and I thought this is enough for me, because the ropes are much harder than you'd expect.
It's not even like the worst casualty I've had in wrestling.
What would that be?
I drink a lot. I'm sorry. Probably about 2 years ago, I injured my left knee in a 6-man tag. But again, that was probably my bad, just because like I was still pretty inexperienced at the time, and I wasn't in the position I was meant to be in, so I kind of took a cannonball right on the knee as it was like bent, and it kind of bent it away it shouldn't go, and I just kind of crumpled on the ground, and like you had to check if I was alright, and we just had to like get me out of the match quick.
So what was the Did you go to the hospital for that, or what was the...
A few days later, because my parents didn't actually think it was that bad, because they don't know a thing about wrestling. Even at the time, I didn't know if it was too bad, because I've taken like knocks and falls and all that, and I've been a bit shaken from it, but it was one of those things where I didn't know if it was serious or if I'd just like shake it off 5 minutes later and I could like get on with it. But as soon as I got backstage and like it didn't really heal up quick, I kind of thought like, oh, this is gonna be a hospital job.
Did that put you out of wrestling for a few weeks or?
Luckily, it was before I was really like wrestling most weekends. Like I had about a month between shows at that point because I was still only ever on Rad Pro shows.
Yeah.
So the next one I was in a target anyways, and because we were doing an angle where I was gonna turn heel, I spent most of the match on the apron, not really doing anything. Like I still wasn't really clear to wrestle because like I could hardly even walk without feeling much pain. But I just kind of sat on the apron the whole time, then turned right at the end of the match. But my parents didn't think it was too bad until like it was taking me about 45 minutes to get home from college each day when it's usually a 10-minute walk.
Yeah.
Like I was having to like hold onto the walls and I was limping and I was holding up traffic because I was taking so long to cross the road. Like
I'm laughing, but I shouldn't be.
I injured myself on the Saturday and they wouldn't let me go to the hospital until the Thursday. It was I was like saying like, do you not think we should get this checked? Oh no, it'll heal in a few days. You've just knocked it a bit.
What colour did it turn?
It didn't really turn any colour. Like it maybe went a bit red, but I kind of went and did a stupid thing a few days later that was again my own fault. 2 days after injuring my knee, I went to see Attila in concert. And for those who don't know, it's a very heavy, loud, screamy metalcore band.
Were you moshing?
I wasn't moshing, but everyone else was.
That
Look-
means you were as well.
Luckily, it was a small venue, so I got in and I tucked myself right in the corner, like right at the front of the stage, so I was out of the way of any casualties or anything. But the moment I stepped outside the venue, I misplaced like my footing, and I just felt like something in my leg tear, and then it like swelled up like really badly, and it was like that for like a few days. I could hardly even walk at that point. I eventually got crutches for it, but by the time I got them, I was starting to like get some movement back, and I could like start walking again, like slowly, but
It's a little bit pointless by the time you actually got around to getting them.
like I needed one crutch for about a week. I was on 2 crutches for like a day, but I could sort of walk again, but anything too long or like running or anything, just that kind of brought the pain back.
So when you were injured, were you still attending training sessions and just watching, or just completely cut it out?
I went along to some of them, and I remember I was out of training for about 2-3 months, but I was on shows a bit sooner than that.
Yeah.
It took me a while before I got back into training, really, but I should have probably came back before I did. I just gotten used to like sitting around the house and not really doing anything, that I almost like forgot about training.
Because what I've heard from like a lot of guys is that the training is actually harder than the wrestling. Like,
It
when
can
you're
be. Like, with the wrestling, you've got a lot of adrenaline, and you can take like a superplex or something and like shake it off and be back up in like a minute and not feel it. But if you take one of them in training,
it's-
you're gonna be feeling it for like much more than just
and
a
I think
minute.
it's the repetition of training as well, because sometimes like when you're doing like your bumps, it's like 3 then up, then 3 then up. It's
Oh,
just-
there's like all sorts of drills that like you do in training that like you don't really think about when you're in the ring. Like
Yeah.
there's times where I'm just on autopilot and I just like do my usual thing, but I don't know, like being in the ring usually hurts less than being in training. Like adrenaline's probably a big part in that.
Yeah.
I've done shit in the ring that like would probably kill me if I did it in training. Like falling through the ring. Well, that's never happened on a show yet, but give it time.
Do you reckon that's where like Kane's gimmick of coming up through the ring came from? Someone broke the ring and Trey thought we're going to make the most of this. Someone setting up broke the firewood.
That's a gimmick, that.
I'm doing that tonight.
That's how you leave the ring at the end. Underneath.
I'm not paying for a new canvas.
So today you're going to go come up through the ring and you're also going to climb that big 20-foot metal
Oh, I'm climbing up that and I'm jumping off. I don't.
Why'd you look at something tall, and then there's nothing soft underneath and think, I'm gonna jump off that, knowing that you've got Prince Amin and someone else that you don't know to catch you. Possibly, maybe 3 people, but you're probably gonna just jump into nothing.
Like, I'm a fan of doing stupid shit.
Wrestling allows you to do stupid shit.
Oh yeah, you kind of take big bumps just on the street or in class or anything. Like, for me, like, if you look at ladder matches and all that sort of thing, like at WrestleMania, everyone always remembers like the big bumps, like Jeff Hardy jumping off a ladder and putting Edge through one, and basically everything Shelton Benjamin's ever done in a Money in the Bank match.
Shit,
Like-
man off the cell.
Exactly, like huge bums, like that people remember, and I just, I like to do stuff like that if I ever get the chance. Like, I've not really done anything on that level.
I remember Michaels and Bret Hart, and that was a nice 60-minute Iron Man match. Nice and straightforward. Looked like the cordial was taking a bit of a beating, but that was a good match. They need to jump off any ladder. What?
Yeah, but like,
I mean, he did abseil in.
you are?
He abseiled in. Other than that, that was.
But that was a high spot.
Yeah, but he wasn't deliberately gonna fall.
He could have.
He could have.
You were at North the other week when Alex jumped off the balcony as well.
Oh
weren't you?
God, I remember that.
Would you have done that?
It's one of them things where like you say, "Oh yeah, I'll do that," and then when you stood up there and you're looking down, you're thinking like, "Shit, I wish I hadn't agreed to do that." Like,
That looked smaller than that thing you want to jump off tonight.
But there was a distance between. It wasn't really the height.
Yeah,
at North.
the thing at North is it looked like you had to take a run and then jump.
And then
if you
jump
just
off.
fell, you was just gonna hit the ground.
Yeah, all the ropes, which would be worse.
But
Straight group.
fair enough. But
Like-
you're all crazy.
with stupid bumps and that, like even when I do a moonsault, I'm kind of setting up for that and thinking, "Oh shit, I wish I hadn't planned this. I wish I hadn't put this in here." Like, first time I ever did one in a match, I was thinking like, "Oh, I might just turn it into a crossbody instead," because like you've got to go over your own head and you can't really see where you're going, and you've just got to hope you land right where you're meant to.
And it's a lot of trust in the other guy as well.
Oh yeah, like I've done 106 matches and I've only ever hit 2 moonsaults, just because I'm fucking terrified of them.
53 record.
Like only one of them was recorded as well. I was gonna do another one a few weeks ago, but my opponent got injured, so we had to cut a lot of the match out just
Yeah.
on the fly.
Does it worry you when you're there waiting for someone to do a moonsault on you and know that if they come down wrong, you're going to just take like 2 knees or something?
I've actually never taken a moonsault in a match yet. Like I've caught a load of dives and crossbodies and all that sort of thing, but
Is that not worrying? Is
no,
that
not really.
You're just not thinking about it.
I don't really think about much, to be honest.
You need to think about these things. These things are dangerous.
I'm a fan of all my dives and my high shit. It's one of the only things I'm good at. It's one of the things that I feel like people look for in my matches, like my over the top rope planchas. I have a nice crossbody, and just all my dives and shit. I rarely do much groundwork, like wrist locks and all that sort of thing.
Do you think you might work that in when you start getting older? When
Possibly.
your body starts breaking down around you?
I'm
'Cause
not
all these
really thinking
crazy
about that
things.
too much now. I,
All these people who tell me, "Oh, Biggs, he's got a future." If you hurt yourself, you haven't. You need to think of a plan B. Let's just start working on some wrist locks, some chin locks. Randy Orton's known for them.
yeah, but I'm not Randy Orton. I have hair.
Randy Orton could have hair.
He could. I saw like one of his really old matches the other day, like one of his very first, where he's got like nearly my length hair, and I'm looking thinking like, is that actually Randy Orton? He had like
Doesn't look right.
he had no tattoos either. Almost, it was weird looking back now.
I was watching something on the network and it was about Takeover Brooklyn, and it had like Sasha Banks coming out before she was the boss, and it was just like generic Sasha Banks is rubbish. Sasha Banks now is awesome. And the same with Bailey, like just taking away the side ponytail just made her just look a different person.
See, like I kind of understand people starting off with something different to what got them big, because in a way, like if I was still doing and wearing what I wore in my first match, I'd not be on this show tonight, and I'd not be like wrestling every weekend. My first gear was like a basic singlet, some oversized crusty red knee pads that barely fit, some local boxing boots, and I had these things on my hand that looked like cut up white socks. These wrist support things. I looked shit, but
I see a lot of your new merch on gear on Facebook.
yeah, I'm a
He's
fan
got
of.
some new ones today as well.
Yeah, I get away with these new ones today. I go to Vic Stitch now for a lot of them.
Yeah,
She's pretty good with them.
I think she's the most popular.
Yeah, definitely one of them. This last pair I ordered, like, they were ready in like 3 weeks, and I got the pictures and I was thinking like, shit, that was fast. The pair I wear the most, the ones with like my logo on them.
Is that your face without like?
Yeah,
Same as the t-shirt design.
Or is that your head without your face on it? Probably.
those are like my most common ones, and I got them from UK Wrestleware, which was brilliant quality, but they never respond to me anymore. I've sent them messages and emails and all sorts, but they just ignore me. So
I've heard that happens with boots and ring gear quite often. I don't know if there's just like these people have so much ordered or something, or if they're just swindling people. But
like
it seems like a difficult.
I'd never paid for anything. Luckily, I was just trying to get a price for like
Right.
stuff I was looking to buy, but it was the same with like other places I've been to. Like when I ordered my first proper pair of tights from Custom Cunts, I'm
Custom cunts.
yeah,
Okay.
custom knee pads, unitards. It stands for something, I'm sure, but I
I thought
made
you were
the
just throwing shade at them there. I didn't know the actual name.
well with a name like that. I ordered my first pair of tights because I just needed to stop wearing the singlet because I was at the point where I was wearing the straps down and it just looked like a shitty pair of black shorts.
We just do like the Kurt Angle thing of taking the straps down at the very beginning before there's any reason.
I took them down before I even went out. I just the singlet just wasn't me anymore. I needed some actual gear because I was starting to like get a little bit more recognised. Like I was getting my first outside bookings from Rad Pro at that point, so I thought like I need to try and look a bit more presentable, and I need to look like I'm trying to be a wrestler at least. So I ordered some tights, but they took forever, and it wasn't really the design I asked for. It had some of the stuff on, but it was missing quite a bit of what I wanted. I was asking for pictures all the time, and asking how it was coming along, but the first time I actually saw the gear was when it turned up in the post, so
After you paid for it.
yeah.
Wonderful.
At the time, I was like so happy it was finally there that I didn't even care that it was like different to what I wanted, but the original drawings are long lost now. It was supposed to be a lot different than what my tights actually look like, but I don't really wear tights now.
So when you order gear, do you have to send in your own drone of what you would like? Is that how it sort of?
The way I've always done it is I've always drawn up a design and found some fonts on like Google and all that.
Do you draw it or do you have like a friend who's an artist who does it?
That would probably be a better option to be honest, because my drawings look terrible. But I usually just draw up my own shit.
Right.
I'll get an idea from like an album cover or just anything really, and I'll try and like take some of that, draw it, stick it on some gear, sorry. Maybe put some of my own logos in and just get a price for it. I'll maybe send it to a few different places,
Right.
see what the best price is and the best waiting times and that. And then I'll just like make a decision from there usually. Some of my gear's arrived in a week, but it's been a bit basic in quality. Whereas like the stuff I have to wait for is usually like better quality.
Do you talk to like the other wrestlers and see like, I don't know, HD to Drake's tights and say where do you get them made?
Oh, I've seen his, like, I think he went to Custom Cons for some of his first ones because I've seen them on their Instagram page. But at the minute, I just need to, like, find out what's good, but what's not, like, too expensive either, because half the time I don't tell my family that I'm spending this amount of money on wrestling gear.
Martin Kirby uses Vic Stitch as well, so did you get like, where did you get her name from? Did you just see it on Facebook or
you-
did someone recommend it?
Just everyone recommends her, to be honest. It's one of the most like talked about in the UK, I guess.
I like how she always posts pictures on Facebook of who she's working with. And
Oh,
you can
yeah.
see the designs.
Like, I always do my research on a place before I get new gear, and just some of the stuff she'd done looks pretty impressive, so I went down that route.
How many different sets of tights or whatever have you got now?
Hmm.
And how often do you wear them between washing?
I posted a picture on my Instagram about a week ago.
We've got new ones now, so that's
Oh, the new ones were included.
Okay.
I had to like quickly set them all out without getting caught because like I got them in the post, and my mum was like, "Oh, Joseph, you've got a parcel," and I knew what it was. I just didn't want to tell her. Oh, I've spent 60 quid on trunks again, because then I get shouted at. So I quickly put them on the floor, quickly took a picture, and just stuffed them all in my case to hide them.
So how many is there?
I've got about 6 pairs of trunks and the pair of tights, but I don't really wear them anymore. I think the last show I wore them on was September. Shield Pro's debut show, I wore them.
Then you've got your tights. Then you've got like your knee pads, your boots, your
Yeah.
tape.
Oh,
So
they
you
ma-
spend like £1,000 probably.
oh,
on
easily.
ring
I spent like
That's
so much.
Mad.
There's another gimmick I used to do, like a masked character that I don't really do anymore.
Right.
I worked out that alone was about 500. Like all the gear for that, and that's something that I've not even used in over a year now.
Do you still have the mask?
I've got the mask, and to be honest, I'd probably sell the gimmick if like I'd not get as much as I paid, but I feel like it's a shame being wasted because like it's
Advertise it through the page for you.
it's good quality. But if I advertise it, everyone's gonna know it's me.
But then they'll know it's not going to be you next time. 'cause
I
you
can
sell
think
it.
of a few people who would actually buy it straight from you. Just
Oh,
across the
nice.
dust.
It'll be some weird fan who just wants to smell the
That
mask.
was
Like,
the idea, yeah.
I saw something on eBay ages ago, and I don't know if it was right or not, but it was like it said it was Lillian Garcia, and she was selling out some of the dresses she'd worn on Raw, and it had like a photo of her and then a photo of the dress, and she like had it in big bold letters that it was washed, it was dry cleaned, and there's no like smell of hair on it.
So nobody paid after that.
people wouldn't have been interested.
That's what the wrestling fans want.
Just don't pay to get it dry cleaned. just sell. Wear it next show. Just get it over and then just sell it.
You've got like some weirdly perverted wrestling fans that are just into that kind of weird shit.
Leading from there, Lewis has a question.
Cardio is like definitely something different. Like a lot of schools, I think pretty much everywhere in the northeast now does warm ups because I've seen pretty much all of them. Is it still recording? Because it's
It's
running.
still.
Ah, good. Rampage is, I don't know. I've been training them now for I think it's nearly a year. In June it'll be a year. It was like kind of recommended by a lot of their guys that I go along. Primate was like one of the most regular ones recommending me. Like after shows, he'd like routinely sit me down and like just tell me like you need to start coming here. Like it's gonna do really well for you and all that, and it has. Like it managed to get me the few spots I've had on What Culture.
I had a spot on What Culture, I didn't need to go to training.
Oh, well, fuck you then.
I was just saying. My spot was probably before yours. Me and someone else randomly had to carry out Lucas Archer when he was trying to get into the building when they were banned. Because I was sitting there doing nothing, so they asked us what size shirt I was, gave us a What Culture shirt, then three of had it. Someone choked Drake over his shoulder, and then me and someone else like just grabbed Archer's legs were going this whole time.
Yeah, it sounds like it was before my time. Like, I know they used to kind of run Newcastle all the time now, and now they're kind of running all over the country, and whenever they're up here and I've not got like another show that I'm booked on, I'll go along and I'll help out with the ring and I'll see what I can get.
One of the best things about What Culture, I think, is they run on nights that wrestling isn't normally on.
Yeah.
It's normally Monday nights now, isn't it?
They used to do Wednesday and Thursday, now they do Monday, and I think most wrestlers don't have a booking on a Monday.
Unless you're like one of the guys who works the camps and that's,
Yeah.
it's quite unlikely you're going to be wrestling in like a social club or something on a Monday.
So it means to get their choice of talent, so there's not many UK talent at least that they can't get at any one point.
Exactly. No, they're doing really well for themselves at the minute, and I kind of wish I could go along to like the shows in Milton Keynes and Manchester and London and all that, but sadly being a student doesn't really help with that.
Can you not just jump in the back of Drake's van?
I could, but then I'd feel like a stowaway, and like
Well, you're helping him put the ring up though, I'm sure you won't mind.
I'd probably get bits of the ring falling on me.
Or you falling on bits of the ring.
I'm sure like I nearly dropped a corner post on myself once. I was trying to set the ring up at a training session years ago. I thought it would be a good idea to hold it like a barbell, and I kind of misjudged and I nearly fell back and crushed my ribs.
I can't carry a corner post by myself. I can lift one up, but I can't carry one. I've seen Drake or people just like sling them over their
Oh
shoulder.
yeah, like
It's just insane.
I go to the gym like nearly every day, and I think like, how can I still not do that? It's depressing.
I don't like carrying the little mid posts, and they're like half the size of the corner ones, and that's like,
I like carrying the padding. That's more my style.
I don't like carrying the ropes. The ropes are cool.
I like ropes.
I've been doing the setup for like Jamie's promotion.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's fun. That like
Oh, I see a lot of their stuff on Facebook.
the setup goes really clean as well. And the takedown, no
Ah,
problem right
nice.
at the door. And
I don't know who made their ring, but Drake made the one that gets used for what culture. Didn't he?
Yeah.
he makes his own as well. I'm sure.
Yeah, I think the fact that Drake builds it and made it, I think it goes up faster than anything else. It's just like a jigsaw.
Going in with what you said earlier about like, does wrestling training hurt more or less? Like if you're on a show or whatever, it depends on what ring you're in. Like that ring is one of the nicest I've bumped in.
Pete Dunne told me that, and he'd like just after I'd been talking about like how he'd spent time wrestling in Japan, he's like, this ring tonight's as good as anything else. I was at North, so
Was that the first note?
I think the fact that like Drake knows he's probably gonna have to land it, and he's made it
Yeah.
as soft as he can. But it looks good. It sounds good. It sounds like it hurts when people landing it.
There's some rings where like you can bump and like you'll feel it straight away, and you kind of like think to yourself like, oh, I don't want to be bumping all match now. But there's some where like you think, oh, I want to do nothing but bumps. That's one of those rings.
Was there any other questions? While you're looking for another one, I think without knowing everyone who goes to every single school or how many schools there are, Rampage's school set tends to have the better wrestlers go to it, or they're certainly the more established wrestlers like Primate and Drake and
Alex, Roxy,
Yeah.
Elaid, we've got.
Screwface. All of the big name guys go to Rampage, and I don't know if that's because he's the best trainer or if he's just maybe it's more regular, or it's because he's done it, he's got the experience. But I just think it's
Thing is, I think it comes down
He's
to
been doing it now like about 20 years or something, probably longer. I'm not too sure actually. But he's definitely probably one of the best wrestlers in Europe, not even the UK. So for him to have like a training school like right here in the northeast, like I recommend it to pretty much everyone who asks.
It says a lot as well because the school's quite a while out of the way and people still turn up every week.
Oh yeah, like I was speaking to one of the guys there. Like, there's people who come up from Leeds at the minute to train there.
It's mad.
there is an NGW training school in Leeds, though, isn't it? Is that
Yeah.
Ligero's?
Hull.
Yeah, it's the one in
David Cruz,
Hull.
There's one in Hull. There's one in Leeds, I thought.
I think
Grapple run
Ligero
Leeds
and
as
Cruz
well.
Do the same
I'm not too sure about like the one down there.
There's Grapple's in Leeds, I think, and Grapple has Ligero and
That's with David Graves and
David Cruz.
Yeah, they all train down there.
That seems good. So what were the other questions you've got for Joseph? before
There
we-
was a question that I wrote down for myself. It was when we conducted our interview for the magazine. One of the names you sort of really wanted to face was Prince Amin.
Oh yeah.
Right here tonight. Team Amin versus Team Biggs.
I'm looking forward to it.
Do you know this isn't going to be shown obviously till after the show. If any idea who's on your team or his team?
I know who's on both teams.
You're not going to tell us.
I can't.
All your friends, Biggs.
I know. You haven't bought me a drink.
Bar's going to come out. Sorry, I don't want you to be drunk before you wrestle.
I've always wanted to do a drunk wrestle.
Not against a professional like Amin.
Yeah, true. It's just every time I'm on a night out, I get loads of drunk confidence, and I think, oh, this would be great to wrestle on. Although,
It'd be great to wrestle on skills.
well, maybe if I was just doing a promo, I could get drunk and go to the ring and do that, and I'd have all the confidence in the world. But I wouldn't really rate my chances on remembering a match. Like,
Do you always
absolutely
set up the match beforehand, or do you just call it in the ring? How does it normally go with?
I plan about half the match and do the rest out there.
See what's reacting.
Usually the best things to plan are the start and the finish. You can kind of get away with winging most of the middle of the match, but there's been some matches now where I've planned like everything down to like the move and the punch and like just every little bit's being planned. But then there's a risk there of if you forget something or if something goes wrong and like you need to get back on track and it just looks all weird and you can tell.
Or something's not working.
Yeah. Like if you plan a match and the fans aren't reacting to it, and then you keep doing that same match, then it's kind of a lost cause.
Who would be your dream opponent after you've wrestled him in then? Who's currently working?
You read the magazine to find that out.
And yeah.
Does it depends on that?
Yeah, by the magazine. We covered this.
There's current wrestlers or from wrestling history.
We could do from history.
From wrestling history, who would you want to wrestle?
Is this like in WWE and everything?
No, just anyone you've ever seen. Whether it's like someone over Japan or WWE.
I'm a big fan of Seth Rollins at the minute. Although I don't know if I could do half the shit he does. He'd probably be a dream opponent, like.
We could do that thing tonight where he does the moonsault where he kicks off the fat fan. I'll be the fat fan. Let's not climb up anything tall. Let's just do a kick. Just kick off me and do a flip onto him.
I'm genuinely thinking about doing that now.
Let's try it.
Yeah, I'll go that.
Yeah, but then I get scared when I have to do moonsaults and that
We're
bottle.
I'm getting kicked.
Well, we go down together.
That's fine.
So you're more scared of the moonsault than jumping off?
Probably because I can actually see where I'm going.
Fair enough.
Like if I'm moonsaulted off something really tall, I'm going over my own head and
Hold up, a moonsault from the tall thing, then.
We've got plenty of time to rotate.
Yeah, but then I'd probably over-rotate and land on the top of my head and die. And then they'd have to carry my dead body through the rest of the match.
My wife was at WrestleMania 19 where Brock Lesnar came down his head and she said everyone thought he was dead. So a single person who was there will say that they thought he was alive. He just came down and that was it.
That's quite an underrated WrestleMania.
It's not in my household, it's not, but to general fans, it is. Other than the Taker match. Austin Rock was Austin's last match, WrestleMania 19. But the only bad bits, like, it had Nathan Jones in the Undertaker match, and they didn't let him come out till the very end.
I've got like a bad point about it. Roman Reigns wasn't on it. I love Roman Reigns. I don't even care if people are turning off the podcast right now. I fucking love Roman Reigns.
Have you got a Roman Reigns Funko now?
Right here.
The guy who used to run my magazine at Calling Spots now runs Wrestle Crate, and Lewis decided he was going to contact him about buying some Funkos, so Lewis has a box of Funkos.
That's Roman Reigns.
I'm moist.
Now Lewis tried to take it off him. Which other ones are there?
Kevin Owens and Ultimate Warrior. Oh, might as well plug it now. You can get is it 10% off?
So you negotiated it.
10% off your first order from WrestleCrate with the code BWFM at checkout.
What he said.
So you just go to order it, and then it's a cool promo code, and you put in BWF10.
BWFM.
BWFM10.
No, 10.
I don't know what's going on here.
Just cut it out, Lewis. Edit this out.
It's staying in there. It's gone.
I don't deal with promo codes. I just spend 25 hours this week packing them, so I get a free one.
Fair enough.
But other than that, that's all.
Make quite a little tower there.
It's the only thing I'm good at.
From the side, Roman
Holy
Reigns
shit.
and Kevin Owens look the exact same. Like,
I'd say Roman's beard's better. It's what I'm working on with mine. I aspire to have that kind of.
I think I've got a long way for mine.
I can't grow fake, like, hair on my cheeks, which is a shame.
Like,
That's the only place I can.
I don't help my case because every time I get sad, I shave. I just. It's
So when I
hard.
get sad, I cut myself, but not quite that extent.
I
I'm just going to shave the top of it.
I cut the hair on my chin. I hate life.
Cool. Is there anything else you want to say, Lewis, before we finish up, or?
Pretty much just to have a great match tonight and
I'll
go out
try.
and jump off the tallest thing here. And
There might be a moonsault if I'm feeling brave enough.
so where can we find you on Twitter, Facebook?
My Twitter is @JosephBiggs1996, although I barely
so
use it.
old. So
I
old.
feel so old. I'm 21 in December.
I'm 30.
Oh,
I'm 16.
you lucky bitch. My Facebook page is Joseph Biggs Professional Wrestler. I'm working on getting 900 likes, so I feel a little bit special. My Instagram, if people want that, is Joseph.
You look more like an Instagram sort of guy.
I like Instagram. My Instagram is Joseph_Biggs, and I give out my Snapchat, but I think we're just getting a bit personal here.
Contact Biggs for his Snapchat.
Yeah.
Message the Facebook page.
Just inbox me, I'll give it out.
Even if it's a Saturday night at Rise, you've got it.
Oh, if you inbox me when I'm at Rise, you're getting it, because I'm drunk and I'm happy.
Or if you're at Rise, you'll definitely
Oh,
get it.
yeah.
I'm gonna press finish now.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.